Hey everybody, Hellcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 207, I think it is. Or maybe it's 28. I don't know. I've lost track. Alright, today we're going to be talking about the 40-ton mech from the Draconis Combine, the Snakes, Daimyo. Yes, this is kind of an interesting little mech. It's the little mech that can probably do it. It makes a nice little medium mech. It, as I said, is 40 tons. Doesn't have an XL engine, so that's 2 thumbs up. They're getting a lot done without it. It's a 580, doesn't have jump jets, so yeah, there's just some things you can do to give it some jump jets, but we'll discuss that later. It has 11 double heat sinks, so 2 thumbs up for that. You're designing a mech that has, hey, right out the gate, double heat sinks. It has 134 points of armor, which is, I think, 3 short of maximum. So, hey, that ferrofibrous armor is doing good. I guess the only way to make this mech even better is if they used endo steel instead of ferrofibers. But, you know, you can't have everything. Now, the weapon systems is an ERPPC in the left arm, which is nice. It has 2 medium lasers in the right arm. And it has an SRM-6 in the right torso with 2 tons of ammo. Now, personally, I think it'd be better off with only 1 ton of ammo, but then with the 2 tons, you can do things like maybe throw smoke or something in with the other one and lay down smoke barrages if necessary, doing some cover and concealment. But personally, I'm the type of player that's like, okay, give me just 1 ton and I'll use that other ton for something, other important things like maybe a C3 slave. Hey, I'm just thinking ahead. Now, what do I really think of this mech? I like it. It's a nice mech. I've used it before. I've always been wanting to get the model. And I just never gotten around to it because most of our campaigns typically end about this era and just hasn't made its way into the mech stable. But overall, it is a nice little mech. It runs cool. You got the ERPPC, so you got something to shoot out at range, and the ERPPC can be used right up in point blank range too. So it is a nice weapon system if you can afford the tonnage to put it on there. You know, that's the nice thing about that. Then you back it up with a couple medium lasers, which would put you fire both those, and you're sitting at roughly, 21. So if you walk, you're doing fine. And then if you run, you go up 1 heat pip. And that's not a problem. You can do that for 4 turns without worrying about anything. Or you can throw in that SRM, and if you ran, then you're going up on the heat scale pretty good, and that's kind of a problem. But here's where that extra ton comes in from that. You could drop that SRM tonnage down to 1 ton of ammo and use that extra ton to give yourself another heat sink. So you give yourself 12. And then this is a mech that is running pretty good. So then you're roughly... once again, you're playing with a slow progression up the heat scale. So you could fire everything. That would put you at 25. And depending on if you're walking or running, that will give you, a turn without having to worry about heat. Just by downsizing the amount of ammo you're carrying with that SRM and convert it over to a heat sink. So that's the one thing you can always do with this mech. That you get some options there, but overall it's one of those mechs where you can get in, move pretty quickly. It fights similar, I find, as the Wolverine in the one with the large laser. It's except it just doesn't quite have the amount of armor that typical Wolverine, but it fights in my play style very similar, where you go in there, you hammer away with that PPC, and then if somebody gets in close or you get in close, and by the time you're getting in close, there might be a mech or two that has a lot of armor missing, and then you're trying to get into that flank where you can funnel that damage into that critical area. So if it's missing a right torso armor and that's wide open, you get the speed maybe to do a flank maneuver and get in that area and start funneling damage into it, and then use that SRM. It'd be one of those things where, okay, I might forego using a medium laser to fire the SRM. So it's one of those things where you're firing a PPC, maybe a medium laser, and SRM, or the two medium lasers. It just depends on how what you want to do. And it's like the SRM. If you got 2 tons of ammo with it, it's like you might as well just keep firing it if necessary, depending on your heat. Now there is another way to look at it is that forego the PPC for a turn and just fire the medium lasers and the SRMs. You're going to be doing a lot more than the 10 damage that PPC is providing. So if you do connect with that SRM, typically you're going to do hit with 4, maybe 5 of the missiles. So that's a little bit less than that PPC. And if you're trying to go after a mech that has the open armor someplace, then you're crit hunting with those SRMs. That's the whole purpose of in my book, is the way the SRM now, using the current rules, availability with ammo, it's like you can lay down some smoke or you're crit hunting. And typically the way I looked at it when this first came out, you're crit hunting with it. A lot of these newfangled weapons and ammos and stuff like that are a new addition to the game from when this book was designed. So, your mileage may vary how you want to play with it. Now, there are a couple, let me dig it up here, variants with this mech. There's the 2K. This is an attempt to make it cooler. This one downgrades the ER PPC with an ER large laser and a double heatsink. And it gives the mech a better heat profile and shortens the distance they can strike at the enemy. Say you're losing 4 hexes with that and you're losing 2 points of damage. In this case, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of this, because you're downgrading a weapon system that, you're taking a better weapon system and putting it in with a slightly lesser system. And in this case, I'm not fully behind it. I'd rather have the ERPPC. It's like, that's the ultimate. Yeah, you're doing a lot of heat with it, but this mech can handle that heat, because most of the time, until you get within 9, and even if you're within 9, it's like, I'd rather fire the PPC. And if you're within 9, let's say you're in that 7 to 9 hex range, I'm not going to be firing all those short range weapons. I'm fire the 2 medium lasers, or maybe a medium laser and an SRM. But I'm not firing all 3 of those short range weapon systems, just because I'm not wanting to heat up. So that's not quite a design change that I'm quite behind. I like the ER large laser. It's typically is that most of the time, if I'm running a light mech or even a medium mech, the ER large is a weapon system that is worth putting on. I'd wholeheartedly replace a AC5 for an ER large laser. No, that's just how I roll. Now, if you can put it with the ER PPC, hey, even better. If you have the double heat sinks to go with it. Now, then we have the 4K. This variant of the mech is more heat efficient. The variant removing the SRM6 and replacing with an additional medium laser. The weight savings is used to add 4 more double heat sinks. Well, this is like going overboard. So now you're sitting at with 15 heat sinks. Okay, yeah, you're dissipating 30. And then you have 3 medium lasers, so you're still only doing 24 heat. You would have been better off with just 13 heat sinks, and then using that extra tonnage to maybe put on ECM and max out the armor, etc. That's how I roll with that. See, this is an overly heat sinked mech. It might work pretty good with in a city fight where you might be getting hit by infantry with infernal rounds. fine. Then this mech will run pretty decently, but it doesn't really work great against infantry in that case, unless it is going after elementals. And in that case, it's not really great against elementals. You might want to have a Komodo or something like that running in conjunction with it. And we'll get around to the Komodo here sooner or later. Now, the 5K, this one comes closest to any of the variants to living up to the mech's name. The SRM has been removed, replaced with a C3 master computer. And for coordinating the C3 Lance, now this could be your command vehicle. This may sound strange, but almost all of the C3 systems I ever used as my command mechs, it's always been on like a 55-ton mech that's a 5.8 moving. Because personally, I'd rather have a mech that has at least a 5.8 movement, being command to something. And if things really get hairy, that mech can try to displace out of the area and remove itself, and saving the master computer for later use down the line, because that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment. Now, putting this in charge of a Lance, okay, I can easily say getting rid of the SRM and with a master computer, fine, there you go. Now, the Daimyo has that extra ton to the standard version with that SRM. You can downgrade that to 1 ton and give yourself the C3 slave. So there you go. That is something you can do with this mech. So you have the master one, and then you could have, if you're running a Lance of these things, which would actually not be a bad deal, would be pretty decently, where you have 3 of them are running around with the slaves, and this one could be your master. So there you go. That is a decent way of giving yourself a command mech. You're only losing an SRM, fine. You're losing up to 12 points of damage, but it's going to be sitting back with that PPC and using the eyes of everybody out front of it to, be hopefully doing short range shots with that PPC. And heck, could you imagine this mech if you had a command mech with a clan PPC? Oh, there you go. That would be an awesome little combination there. Something to think about. Then we have the 1K2. This one was a combination of Comstar technology. It made the mech a brutal, ruthless mech. Basically, it has a light fusion engine, which is increasing the amount of tonnage available for it to be used. Then it carries around a heavy PPC and twin X-pulse lasers. I'm not a big fan of the heavy PPC, or even heavy lasers for that matter. Personally, I just rather had a pref of shorter range stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to fire the PPC. I'm going to fire a whole bunch of short range stuff at you if I'm in your face and do more damage. So there you go. All right. So pretty much that's the Daimyo in a nutshell. Not a bad mech. It's worth taking out into battle and using it. So it's a mech that you're sitting out there shooting at long range with it, sniping away, and then when it does get in close, shut off the PPC if possible, and then hit it with all the short range stuff. That's it. That's pretty much it. It can be sort of used as an interceptor. It's not an anti-scout mech because it doesn't quite have the speed to do that. But it can intercept and get in between you and whatever the light mech's target are. So you don't have to have speed to do an intercept of getting in front of somebody. That's the whole purpose of the 5.8 movers. Now the 6.9s and the 7.11s, those are running more into your scout range. So especially the 7.11s. But a 5.8, yeah, you can get in between you and your target. All right, that's it. That's the mech in a nutshell. Hope you guys like this one. And like and subscribe and share with your friends. And we'll see you in the next one. Elk Rex out.